A friend of mine once told me, and they truly believed this, that they were a bad person, and they saw themselves as a bad person. For no reason apart from one childhood experience where they conflated something that they learned about with being associated with who they were. Indirectly. It wasn't like a direct thing. It was just kind of like this loose association that the child's mind basically made this connection, and suddenly they were a bad person. And from that point forward, well into adulthood, they have constantly been thinking they're a bad person. Not because they're a bad person, and I'm going to go a little further than that because I'm going to make a rather bold assertion and say that there aren't really bad people. Hear me out. This person, though, was constantly reinforcing this projection, this connection. And I don't know if anybody ever told them, stop to tell them, like, wait, you're a person who's made good decisions and maybe not so good decisions. But you're not a bad person. You're a person who does good things, things that are not so good. It's nuanced, right? You make mistakes, you do things better. It's a mix. But unless this individual started to act out because of everything they believed and did things that were effectively making poor decisions one after the other, then effectively their life would have become and could potentially become a not great life based upon a non-reality that they've created for themselves and have had a difficult time escaping. Now let me go ahead and put this out there before I continue. Any advice I give is just based on my personal experience. I'm just an expert in being myself. Feel free to listen. Feel free to extend the conversation. I'm only doing this as kind of a courtesy because some people have asked me to. They've asked me to kind of describe how I see the world, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just an expert in being myself. Definitely can't cover every use case out there. I can only relay my experiences in the hopes that maybe what I'm laying down resonates with somebody. This is fresh in my mind because I learned about this from my friend a few years ago, and I've told them over and over again, you're not a bad person. You make good decisions and not so good decisions. I would like to help you make better decisions. Bad decisions, good decisions. It's a bad decision when you make it knowing full well what the consequences are going to be, and those consequences are going to be destructive, self-destructive, or potentially destructive in some other way. Knowing, walking into that is a poor decision. A good decision would be something that would aim for a better outcome, maybe a more constructive outcome rather than a destructive outcome. But again, it's nuanced. I always have to reinforce, you're not a bad person. I said I don't think there are bad people out there. I think there are people who feel good about making decisions that don't impact them but have very nefarious outcomes. There are those types of people. And there are some people out there that, are wired very differently and didn't seek the kind of help that they should have sought. And I would never say, just begin and end with people like me because, like I said, expert in being myself. I don't view myself as a good person or a bad person. And I'm not saying it's as easy for you to do too, because maybe you're incapable of seeing that right now. What I'm attempting to do is potentially giving you the freedom to believe that it is entirely possible that you're not a good person or a bad person. You're a person who's dealing with circumstances that maybe aren't that great, who's dealing with things that maybe they don't even understand, that you don't even understand. All the more reason to talk to someone. Take any one of these advice videos as a stepping stone to potentially talk to someone who could do you a lot more good than a random person on the internet can do. So the other week, I had another conversation with a completely different person. I wouldn't call this person a friend. an acquaintance, someone who I've known about for some time, someone who's certainly known me in this context. And we got together and connected with masks on to stay safe indoors. It's still weird to me right now. I know we're in 2021, but man, we're not out of the woods yet on that one. So as this person was talking, a lot of what they were saying reminded me of the other person I was just talking about, the first person in this particular example. And this other person sitting down and we were drinking coffee. And yes, I had to lift my mask for that. Don't give me hell for that, please. I heard this person say, sitting across from me, this acquaintance, that they believed they were a bad person. I stopped him right there. I'm like, whoa. I said, I don't know what you've done. I don't know your background. I don't know, what you said. I don't know a lot about you, but let me just stop you right there. It is entirely possible that you're not a bad person. In fact, it's more than likely possible that you're not a bad person. You're just making bad decisions. And maybe you're making good decisions, and you've made more good decisions than bad decisions. But if anything's bad here, it's the decision. And by the way, we were sitting in a circumstance that I would tell you he made a very not as well-informed decision as he could have made. There were a lot of mysteries lying in the mix with the decision that he made that brought him to a place where he was just looking for help. And he's certainly open to getting that. And which is always the biggest step to getting help is getting it, right? To admit that you need the help. But it was eerie to me to hear that from that individual, because I've been down that path before, and hearing someone tell me that they truly believe they're a bad person. And I can tell you, my friend is not a bad person. Like, on the surface, like, anybody who would have met my friend, has met my friend, would never imagine that. Like, they would say, no, they're always nice. They're doing nice things. They're very courteous. They're thinking of other people. How on earth could they see themselves as a bad person? I'm just telling you how it happened. And I'm just telling you that if you perceive yourself that way, it is entirely possible you're not. You've just made some bad decisions, but you've also made good decisions. You've made some mistakes, but you've also made progress in other areas, right? I mean, it's nuanced, right? It's not black and white. It's shades of gray. No one's keeping tally. You're not going to be a bad person because you made more bad decisions that week than good decisions. Who's keeping score? I'm not keeping score. You may be keeping score. It's good to hold yourself to a standard, but not to such a standard that you can never live up to it. You're just a person. People are people who do good things and do not so good things. Does that make them a bad person? At some point, if that behavior keeps repeating, the destructive behavior over and over again, and you just cannot crawl out of making one bad decision after another for whatever reason, that reflects upon you. And that, in many ways, what you believe yourself to be becomes your reality. All the more reason not to see yourself as good or bad, neutral, capable of changing course and making things better and improving. You have that latitude. I'm giving you permission to have that latitude. I'm giving you that permission to talk to somebody, because they'll tell you the same thing, guarantee it. Or they may say, yeah, you keep doing these things over and over again. Do you want to stop doing these bad things over and over again? Because remember, bad things happen, right? Bad decisions. Not necessarily a bad person. And see, if you're at that point where you're like, I'm tired of making these decisions and these bad things keep happening, how do I stop that? You're already making that path over into neutral, making better decisions, good decisions, to be the person you deserve to be. To stop telling yourself that you're a bad person. I don't know who you are. I know who my friend is, and I can tell you they are not someone they have believed that they are. It's hard to get through to them. It's very hard to get through to them. I'm hoping that the acquaintance that I met, it gets through to him. It's out of my hands. All I could sit there and say is this, right? It's all the more reason than years ago. I think I actually did a video on it. like some parental advice, right? I learned this because of the experience I had with my friend, but realizing that the language we use and the phrases that we use with children matter. And I'm not talking about dropping swear words, because Lord knows I am not innocent there. I'm talking about praise or the attention that we give children. So, for example, if they do something well, when I was growing up, what I was told was, good boy, good boy. Not necessarily good job. They didn't praise the action, they praised the person. And the problem with that is, again, it puts us in this category in our head where we're good or bad. We are good or bad. And clearly, if someone's disappointed us, we're bad. But what if we're not? I mean, is it entirely possible that we're not bad simply because, you know, we did something that someone else perceived as not to their liking? Does that mean we're bad? Not necessarily. That's a matter of perception. You've probably done that to one of your pets. Bad dog. Bad dog. I mean, it's difficult to praise. The dog's not going to pick up like bad, good. They just know that you're not happy. They can tell by your intonation, right? Your tone of voice. More so than the language, right? Or they hear the language over and over again and they associate that, right? They know that whatever they did was not the right thing. This is why you'll see videos out there, they're kind of cute when the dog knows that the dog did something that the dog was not supposed to do. Or the behavior was not something that would make their parent happy. But I would implore you to look at those as decisions, as actions. Praise the action. I was emphatic with raising our daughter, and I said we should not be saying good girl. We should be saying good job. Congratulations. That was awesome. That was awesome. Amazing. Praising the action, not the person. Because the moment we don't praise, then we're in effect saying that wasn't good. And in their mind, if they think they're good, when you say they're good, what does that mean when you do something that disappoints them? They're bad. And so it perpetuates that cycle of thinking you're a bad person when in fact you've just made a decision that wasn't as good as another decision could have been in that moment. You have an opportunity to change. Every hour is a different hour. Every minute's a different minute. Every day a different day. Every week a different week, month, year, you name it. Just think about all those times you felt that way and you couldn't resolve that. Like, why do I feel like I'm a bad person? It could very well have been language that you weren't in control of, and maybe there was not much understanding from the person that was laying it out there, or you made an association that was similar. Just know you are capable of making good decisions and better decisions with fantastic outcomes. And stop seeing yourself just based upon one behavior or another. That doesn't define you in totality. Strive to do better. Prepare for better outcomes. Do good things. Put good out into this world. Those are good decisions. Those are positive decisions. And again, I hope my acquaintance gets the help that he needs so he can overcome believing that he's someone that I don't believe he is. And I do hope that my friend gets the help that they need to better be able to see that everything that I'm saying right now is closer to reality than the idea that their own mind planted in their heads as a child.